Bacteria. Bacteria can both help us and hurt us. We often hear and are prompted to prevent the spread of bacteria, particularly regarding sickness or medical procedures. This is because harmful bacteria can infect our bodies and cause problems. If these bacteria cells do infect our bodies, we can use a medication called antibiotics. You've probably heard of antibiotics before, but how do they work to target the bacteria in our bodies, and why can antibiotics cause other problems later on? Antibiotics work to target the bacteria that has made its way into our bodies, even if it's a good bacteria. They work in three main ways: targeting the cell wall, targeting DNA replication, and targeting protein synthesis. Because of this, antibiotics only work against bacterial infections, not viral infections. Bacteria are prokaryotic cells that have cell walls and can survive and reproduce independently, but viruses are microbes that need a host cell in order to survive and reproduce. The cells in your body are eukaryotic and don't have cell walls, and since antibiotics attack things like the cell wall, the virus is basically protected against the antibiotic since the virus only attacks the cells that are already in your body. How do antibiotics attack the bacteria in your body anyway? Let's talk about one of the most common types of antibiotics, penicillin. Penicillin targets the cell walls of the bacteria cell. Once inside your body, the penicillin creates a structure around the bacteria cell, which prevents fluid and nutrients from entering the bacteria. When the bacteria attempts to multiply, little holes form on the cell wall when it begins to divide. A polymer called peptidoglycans, which strengthen the cell wall and help it expand in reproduction, work to fill these holes. This is where the penicillin kicks into play. The penicillin targets the linkages in the peptidoglycans and prevents the bacteria from closing the holes in the cell wall. The bacteria is then very fragile, and because the water concentration is higher on the outside of the cell than on the inside, the water floods into the bacteria cell and the bacteria explodes. And boom, problem solved. Antibiotics are so amazing and so helpful. You might be wondering why you've heard that antibiotics can cause problems. Antibiotics do good, right? Well, not quite. Because they are so phenomenal at their job, they can cause other problems. For instance, antibiotics have no way of differentiating the good bacteria in your body from the bad ones that are causing your infections. So, they have the potential to harm the good bacteria that make nutrients or help your immune system. Another main problem with antibiotics is that over time, the bacteria can become resistant to the antibiotic being used. That's why it's important not to overuse antibiotics, because you don't want the bacteria to resist the antibiotic next time you get an infection. This also means that it's really important to dispose of excess antibiotics properly. If the antibiotics make their way into a main water source, an entire population could be developing antibiotic resistance without even knowing. So, the next time you're prescribed antibiotics, you'll know how they work.